Marhaba, Assalamu alaikum. So in this video, we're going to get started and ready to start learning letters. We won't be learning a letter in Arabic in this video, but we're going to take some notes about how to connect Arabic letters. And before that, I'm going to explain how to set up your notebook that you're going to take notes on all of the letters for this year. So, yalla, let's get started. So over here you see I have some supplies that I'm recommending you have. So please use pencil when you're taking notes about letters. You're going to make mistakes, as we've talked about. That's a really natural part of learning a language, and especially as you're first learning to write new letters, you're going to be making mistakes. So I really recommend you use a pencil while you're taking your letters notes. You need your notebook that you're using as your letters notebook. This is just a notebook that I happen to have, and I'm going to show you in a minute how you're going to set it up, okay? If you are using the notes sheet templates as we take notes on the letters, you're going to use those, and I'll show you how you'll glue those in, and that's what the glue is for. You could also use tape here, or staples, whatever you have handy. Okay, so we are going to set up our notebooks in Arabic order. So that's why I'm including this in the part of the video. So first, this is just a regular notebook. The binding is here on the left. And when I open it, you'll see, right, that it opens in this direction, and we get to the pages and we flip the pages this way. However, we're going to set up our notebooks the opposite way, which is the Arabic order way, okay? Because Arabic is written from right to left, we talked about how books open the other direction, okay? So instead, I'm going to flip my notebook over. I want to do that again. So this is the front, the binding on the left. All you have to do is flip the open part of the notebook to the other side. Okay, so notice I didn't flip it upside down, I just flipped it over. So now the binding is on the right, but the top is still the same top as it was before. Okay, and then I open it, and the pages just open the other direction, right? But still, this is the top of the notebook, and the bottom is the same as it was on the other side, okay? So this is how we're going to set up our notebooks, right? So this would be right here, this would be page 1, right? So I just want to show you quickly, if you're using glue-in notes sheet templates, this is what you're going to do. Each time we learn a new letter, you're going to take your notes sheet template, again, if you have it, and you're going to glue it onto the page, okay? So I would take my glue stick or whatever you're using to stick your page down, and you're going to glue it onto the page, right? And then as we progress through our notebooks, I usually have students use the front and back. There's no reason not to. So the next one we would glue here, the next one we would glue here, then you turn the page and you glue it here, etc., as we make our way through the notebook. Okay, for today, we're not going to be able to take notes on a notes sheet template, so I'll show you in a second what I want you to write down and what you don't need to write down. Okay, so I recommend that you take notes along with this video with me as we're going. So today's notes are about how to connect letters in Arabic, and these are just some basics that we need to know before we start learning our first letters, okay? I have the slides here up on my screen, and you will have access to these slides as well, so you can refer back to them. And they're designed as guided notes, so there are some blanks here. Unfortunately, you don't have this as a template, so you're just going to write down the most important points. You don't have to copy every single word that you see on my slide. You can if you want to, but it's really up to you. And I'll show you a little bit what I want you to do here as well. So I want you to put the date here, whatever today's date is for you. And you're going to put the page number. Can you see that? The page number here. And then our title is going to be Connecting Arabic Letters. Okay, and you'll take your notes here. This shouldn't take more than 1 page, okay? So try to keep this on 1 page so that we'll all have the same page numbers, okay? Tamam. I'm going to switch to the slides here, but you're going to keep writing in your notebook. So there are two important facts about writing in Arabic that we need to know before we start learning letters. Okay, so you could just write down in your notes two important facts. Okay, and then number one, put number one, Arabic is always written in cursive or script or connected letters. Okay, so we always write Arabic in connected letters, which is sometimes called cursive or script. So make sure you write down that. Number one, Arabic is always written in connected letters. Okay, so when we write letters disconnected, they cannot make a word. You never spell a word with completely disconnected letters. This will all make more sense as we start learning letters and seeing what it looks like. And then Arabic letters come in two types. This is still part of the first important fact. Arabic letters come in two types. And the words we use for labeling these two types are either what we call social letters or antisocial letters. So write this down as well. Arabic letters come in two types, social or connectors, and antisocial or non-connectors. Okay, so Arabic letters can be social, which means they connect, or antisocial, which means they're non-connectors. And we'll talk more about what that means in a second. Okay, so pause if you're not finished writing, otherwise we will keep going on to the next slide. Okay, so this is an important point here at the top. All Arabic letters can connect, but they connect in two different ways, okay? You might want to write that down because that's a point that we often get confused as we're first learning the alphabet. So all of the letters do connect, but they connect in different ways. So that's what we're going to talk about, the difference in how social letters connect versus antisocial letters, okay? So social letters always connect with the letter that comes after. Okay, you need to write that down. Social letters always connect with the letter that comes after. Okay? And then antisocial letters, I also want you to write this down. Antisocial letters never connect with the letter that comes after them. Okay, that's the main definition that you need to write down. Social letters always connect with the letter that comes after. Antisocial letters never connect with the letter that comes after. Okay? So once pause and write that down, and once you've written that down, we're going to think through a little puzzle here. Okay? So since Arabic is written from right to left, which side will social letters always connect on? Okay, so letters are written this direction, and we know that social letters always connect with the letter that comes after them. So which side will they always connect on then? If we write this direction, okay, so the beginning of the word would be over here, and the end of the word would be over here. Then which side are social letters going to connect on if we're writing in this direction? If you said the left, great job. If you said the right or you're confused, it's okay. It's going to make a lot more sense once we start learning letters, okay? But just do make sure you have that written down. Social letters always connect with the letter that comes after, and you could put in parentheses if you want, on the left, okay? After means on the left, okay? And then same puzzle with antisocial letters. Antisocial letters never connect with the letter that comes after them, and we have that written down. So then, since Arabic is written right to left, which side will antisocial letters never connect on? Antisocial letters will never connect on the left. Okay, so social letters always connect on the left. Antisocial letters never connect on the left, which is the letter after them. Okay, that's the important thing for this slide. Then we have one more slide, which is the second key fact about Arabic letters before we get started, okay? So hopefully you have number one written down and you wrote down those notes about social versus antisocial letters. And then down the page, wherever you're at, you'll do fact number two. Okay, and we're going to write down this information on this slide. Again, you can shorten it. You don't have to copy every single word. So every Arabic letter has a few different shapes depending on where it is in the word and what letter comes before it. Okay, so because the letters are connected to each other, right, their shapes change a little bit depending on if they're at the beginning or in the middle or at the end of the word. Okay, so every time we take notes on a new letter, we are going to learn the different shapes that that letter takes based on where it is in the word. This sounds like crazy that you're going to have to learn different shapes for each letter, not just different letters, but I promise it becomes pretty natural and you start to be able to predict what the different shapes are as you get used to this, okay? So write this down. Every Arabic letter has a few different shapes depending on where it is in the word and what letter comes before it. You can summarize that, but write down something about that. And then you need to write down this. You might not feel like you can copy down the Arabic words for these names yet, and that's okay. You don't have to copy down the Arabic. You'll have it in the slides to refer to, and it's on our notes sheets that you're going to see every time. Okay, so the first shape is called fil bidaya. Fil bidaya means beginning shape. Okay, so في البداية يعني in the beginning. Okay, so when the letter is at the beginning of a word, it takes its shape في البداية, its beginning shape. Okay, then the second one down here is في النص. في النص. في النص means in the middle. Okay, so this is the middle shape. Sometimes this is called medial. I just like to use the simple word middle. Okay, so you should be writing down, by the way, make sure you're writing down beginning shape, beginning of word, middle shape, middle of word after a social letter. This part, just write it down. For now, it'll make more sense once we have some examples. Okay, the next one, our third of the 4 different shapes, is في النهاية. في النهاية يعني at the end. So this is the end shape. Okay, at the end of a word after a social letter. So write down end shape, end of word after social letter. And then our last one here, لوحده, that means by itself. In English, we call that the independent shape, okay, meaning the letter by itself. So if you ever look at pictures of the Arabic alphabet, you're seeing the independent shapes of the letters, right? The letters by themselves, not connected on either side. Okay, so لوحده, the independent shape. We'll see this in words at the end of a word after an antisocial letter. I also have letter tiles above the board in the classroom that have these independent shapes. And like I said, if you just Google images, a picture of the Arabic alphabet, you'll see the letters in their independent shapes. Okay? And then there's a little note here that's important as well. After an antisocial letter, we use the beginning letter shape or the independent shape if it's the last one in the word. This is a lot of ifs and afters and things like that. Again, this will make more sense once we start learning letters, but do write this down, okay? After an antisocial letter, so after a letter that doesn't connect on the left, we don't use the middle form shape, right? We use the beginning shape because it's not connected. Or if it's the last letter in the word, we use the independent shape. Again, don't stress if you're feeling confused about this right now. This all is going to make a lot more sense once we have example letters to look at with it. Okay? And you don't need to write this down. It's just a goofy little phrase to help you remember. So just like you might dye your hair or change your hairstyle or change your clothes, change how you look on the outside, you're still the same person on the inside. Arabic letters change their shapes on the outside, but their sound stays the same. So these different shapes, beginning, middle, end, and independent, that does not change the sound that the letter is making, okay? So each letter only has one sound that it makes, okay? It just has different shapes depending on where it is in the word. Okay, خلاص, so rewind, go back to whatever you need to get all of these notes written down and ready to go. And the next time you watch one of these videos, you'll be starting to learn your first letter. مع السلامة.